Hello, anybody, and thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a 2025 Kentucky Derby Prospects video, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the horse Journalism, who is sired or fathered by a horse named Curlin, whose dam or mother was a horse named Mopetism out of Uncle Mo. So Mopetism's father or sire was a horse named Uncle Mo. The trainer for Journalism is Michael McCarthy, and the jockey is Umberto Rispoli. Just so everyone knows, this is the 8th Kentucky Derby prospect video I put out. Here's a list of the horses I have previously done with the dates that I published those videos. And here's a look at the races since those videos were published. I tend to do these videos where I know that the horse has an upcoming race and want to get a look at them beforehand. But you can pause this video, take a look at the videos I've already done, see their results in the races since. I'm not going to go into it now. But just so you know, some of the other prospects that I've already done similar videos on. So taking a look at the pedigree of Journalism, again, this horse was sired by Curlin. Curlin had 16 starts, 11 wins, 2 seconds, 2/3 with $10.5 million in career earnings. This horse has routed or run a mile or further 15 times, won 10 of those 15, 2 seconds and 2/3. Going the Derby distance of 1.25 miles, also known as 10 furlongs. Again, a furlong is 1/8 of a mile, so 10 furlongs is 1.25 miles. Curlin raced that distance 7 times with 5 wins in 1/3, so this horse is well bred to be going the Derby distance. Curlin had a mid-pack closing type, not always on the lead, but close up and would make his runs late to win his races. Curlin ran third in the 2007 Kentucky Derby, first in Preakness Stakes of that year, as well as second in the Belmont Stakes, so relatively close to being a Triple Crown winner. This horse was Horse of the Year in 2007 and 2008. He's the 5th ever horse to win Horse of the Year in back-to-back years. This horse was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014. As a sire, Curlin has produced 25 Grade 1 winners, which is the top level of racing. Progeny are known for their two-turn ability, so the top athletes that come out of Curlin should be able to handle the 1.25 mile distance. The dam of Journalism was a horse named Mopetism. Mopetism had 26 starts, 3 wins, 5 seconds, 6/3, and earned $876,000 in career earnings. This horse broke her maiden routing, going what distance of 1 mile, won a Grade 2 and an ungraded stakes race routing, both at a mile. All but her 3 maiden races were stakes level racing. So even though Mopetism didn't have many wins, just 3, this horse was always in the graded or ungraded stakes level of competition. So a very well-talented horse herself. The dam sire, or the father of Mopetism, was a horse named Uncle Mo. Uncle Mo had 8 career starts, 5 wins, a second and a third, earned $1.6 million in his career. This horse routed or went a mile or further 6 times, won 5 times with no seconds or thirds. At the Grade 1 level, Uncle Mo ran 5 Grade 1 races with 2 wins, a second and a third. Uncle Mo was a speedy type, always near the front of all of his races, and has produced 17 Grade 1 winners. Taking a look at the connections for Journalism, trainer Michael McCarthy has a career win rate of 16% from 2,600 starts. At the graded stakes level, which is what the Kentucky Derby is, 16% from 376 starts. McCarthy has earned $41.6 million in career earnings, was a former assistant to Todd Pletcher, who's one of the top trainers in the country. McCarthy began training on his own in 2014, so been training about 11 years on his own. No Kentucky Derby wins at this point, but was first in the Preakness Stakes, which is the second leg of the Triple Crown, and third in the Belmont Stakes in 2021, also the third leg of the Triple Crown. McCarthy also has 2 Breeders' Cup wins. The jockey Umberto Rispoli, career win rate of 18% from 3,200 starts. At the graded stakes level, he's 14% win rate from 418 starts. Rispoli has ridden Journalism 2 times with a win and a 3rd place. Won the Grade 2 Los Al Futurity aboard Journalism. Rispoli has ridden in the Kentucky Derby 2 times with no wins. Ranked 20th in earnings last year and ranked 56th in wins last year. As of now, February 28, 2025, when I gathered most of this information, Journalism was 20-1 odds to win the 2025 Kentucky Derby in Future Pools 3, but is not currently offered in Pool 4. 10 Kentucky Derby points for Journalism thus far. He's tied for 23rd, and remember, Kentucky Derby is a starting gate of 20, so he is on the cusp with 10 points at this point. Set for his 4th career start tomorrow, as of when I gathered this information, in the Grade 2 San Felipe Stakes at Santa Anita, where there's 50 points to the winner, 25 points to second place. 15 to third, 10 to fourth, and 5 to fifth. I chose to do journalism because a lot of times I'll pick a horse and I'm not exactly sure when its next start is going to be, although they are on the Kentucky Derby trail. But this horse I knew was coming off a bit of a layoff, was going to have a start very soon, so I wanted to take a look before that possible big effort so that we could be on top of this horse right as he runs his next big race on the Kentucky Derby trail. In his career, journalism has 3 starts, 2 wins, and a third place with $158,000 in career earnings. So why journalism? This horse went from 99 to 1 to 20 to 1 between future betting pools number 2 and 3. He is making his 3-year-old debut and first race since December 14th of last year. With the win in the San Felipe, he is essentially guaranteed a spot in the Kentucky Derby. Unlike East Avenue, this horse is coming off a good effort in his last 2-year-old race coming into his 3-year-old campaign. So if you go back and watch East Avenue, you'll see that this horse had a poor race in November of his 2-year-old year. And if you watch his most recent race, his first start as a 3-year-old, East Avenue ran poorly in his last start as a 2-year-old. And when he came back into his 3-year-old campaign, also ran poorly. So journalism, on the other hand, had a good last race in his 2-year-old year and is now coming into his 3-year-old campaign. And I just want to see if leaving the 2-year-old year with a good race makes a horse more inclined to run well coming into 3, and just kind of contrast that with East Avenue. I'm curious to see if journalism improves coming into his 3-year-old campaign, and there has been much buzz around journalism. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of people are really high on this horse. Also, the futures odds went from 99 to 1 to 20 to 1 over the course of one betting pool, so there's a lot of buzz around this horse, bottom line. So if we take a look at his debut race, which is October 27th of 2024 at Santa Anita, we'll just talk about some notes of the race, watch the replay, and then talk about some of the runners-up and also-rans in that race. It was a 6-furlong race, meaning 6/8 of a mile on a fast dirt track at Santa Anita. Journalism breaks clean from post number 4 of 5. There were 2 scratches in this race. Finished third by 2 3/4 lengths at odds of 9 to 2. Again, this is on debut. The horse had never run a race before. After a clean break, he falls back to last by about 5 lengths. Jockey is urging his horse throughout the race. Took dirt near the rail throughout, so he stayed down near the rail, saving ground, but was behind horses getting dirt kicked in his face. Finished strong down the stretch and was closing steadily. Sprint fractions and staying on could signal the need for a stretch out in distance, so the races run fast as most sprints were. This horse was not losing ground, not making up ground till the stretch, so he's able to keep up and then have some late kick while other horses are tiring. This horse still had enough stamina to catch up to the leaders, but was unable to eventually pass the front runner. Good trip, but too far back early in the sprint. Now we'll take a look at the replay, and I'll just talk about what I'm seeing before looking at some of the also-rans. So our horse is number 4. Shakes his head a little bit. All set. Breaks cleanly. About mid-pack, you can see the arms on the jockey scrubbing on the horse to pick up his speed a little bit, or at least stay with the pack. Jockey's still pumping his arms, but the horse is just falling back. Again, it's a debut race, so you can forgive a lot in a horse's first ever career race. Jockey's arm's still working a little bit. He's just falling back. The fraction's 22.2, so very swift, as most sprint races are. Jockey's still asking, and he's asking throughout. The horse isn't really losing any ground at this point, but still way far back. Jockey's still working. Whip is out now, asking the horse to really pick it up. Front runners are starting to tire. Our horse is saving ground, staying near the rail. See how dirty the horse is, getting dirt kicked in his face. Shifts out a lane or two, and this is where he really starts to get into gear, and some of the front runners are tiring. So he's picking up ground. He's still got a nice long stride. He's definitely closing well, but the other horses are just way too far out in front of him early and just unable to get the job done. Running on well in the gallop out. So some of the others in the race, that first place finisher so far has had 3 career starts, 1 win, which was that race we just watched, no seconds, no thirds, 1 on debut. That was the horse's first ever race. Integrated stakes after this, including the San Felipe, which is the last race that we'll look at that journalism ran yesterday as of the recording, but most of this information came the Friday before the race. The second place finisher of that race had 5 career starts, no wins, 2 seconds, no thirds, 3 second place finishes and maiden races, 2 graded stakes tries, including the San Felipe, again, journalism's race that he just ran yesterday. And the second place finisher was a $775,000 purchase. Fourth place finisher has had 3 career starts, 1 win, no seconds, no third. Broke maiden while sprinting on his 3rd attempt at odds of even money, so this horse was expected to win that race. Fifth place finisher, 6 career starts, 1 win, 1 third. Broke its maiden on its 6th attempt while routing at odds of 4-1. So this 5th place finisher in the sprint race maybe wasn't his best or ideal distance. So when this horse did go break its maiden, it was going a mile or further. Journalism's second start, November 17, 2024 at Del Mar. It's a 1 mile race on a fast dirt track at Del Mar. Moves up to the Premier California meet. So some of the best horses come to Del Mar, and this horse will be facing some of those rivals today. Breaks clean from post number 3 of 10. 10 horses in this field, only 5 in the last. This horse, Journalism, wins by 2.5 lengths at odds of 9-2. Was chasing the leaders by about 3 to 4 lengths early into a solid pace. Saves ground all the way around, then pops out the 2 to 3 path entering the stretch. Takes some urging, but is in high gear down the stretch. Passes and wins with relative ease. Good clean trip throughout and ran straight in the stretch, which you like to see in a second career start. So let's go ahead and take a look at that replay now. So we are horse number 3. Moving his head around a little bit, straightens out. Breaks cleanly. Has enough speed to get out in front of most of the pack. Now has a clear opening down to the rail. Saves ground all around the first turn. Again, behind horses, getting dirt kicked in his face, but that doesn't seem to bother this horse, which is good to see, especially come Kentucky Derby race where you'll probably be having horses right in front of you and you got to be able to run into that dirt kickback. Horse down here on the rail, first quarter in 22 seconds, which is fairly quick for a route. So you can expect some of these front runners to get tired later in the race. Horse very comfortable, again down on the rail, somewhat boxed in. Can move up a little bit, but can't really move out at this point. But the horse does look comfortable, no issues there. Jockey's starting to move his hands a little bit, starting to ask the horse to pick it up, with about a half mile to go. Jockey's really asking him to pick it up, and this is something you'll see with this horse. The jockey is asking this horse from a long ways out, but the horse does respond to the task. Moves out outside of this horse, so now he's in the 2, maybe 3 path at this point. He's got a lot of ground to make up on these front runners. 46 seconds to the half mile, 1:11 to the 3/4. So an honest enough pace. Here comes our horse in the 3-4 path right now. Just charging down the outside. Going much better than any other horse on the screen. No horse is really making up any distance on this other front runner. And the 3 goes on to win very convincingly, relatively easily. Some of the others in this race, the second place finisher has 8 career starts, no wins, 3 seconds and a third with 2 graded stakes attempts. Third place finisher had 7 starts, no wins, a second and 4 thirds with 1 grade 1 attempt. The fourth place finisher, 5 starts, no wins, 2 seconds with 3 second place finishes in maiden races, 2 graded stakes tries, including the San Felipe, was a $775,000 purchase. And this may sound familiar because Journalism faced this horse in his first career debut race that we just saw prior to this one. Journalism's third career start, December 14, 2024 at Los Alamitos Racecourse, is a 1 mile race on a fast dirt track at Los Alamitos Racecourse. Breaks clean from post number 5 of 5, so another small field. Wins by 3.5 lengths at odds of 5-2. Jockey takes back slightly early, decides to stalk when it could have had the choice to run on the lead. 3 wide into the first turn. Jockey really gets to work entering the far turn, again as we'll see, and was 6 wide entering the stretch, so losing ground rounding out that final turn into the stretch, but runs very straight down the stretch and looks very professional doing it. Now let's take a look at that race. There's our horse, number 5. See if he throws his head around just a little bit as he's done his prior 2 races. Gets out cleanly. Looks like he could go to the lead if he wanted right here, but opts to let this other horse take the lead and sit off and stalk. As we saw in his first 2 starts, Journalism seems to like to have a late run, so having a little target to aim at is something that this horse and jockey like to do. Just comfortable stalking, about 3 wide into that first turn, but very close to the leader. 23.93, moderate fractions. This time on the outside, not getting that dirt kicked in his face, but very comfortable and just cruising right up on the leader. Certainly within striking range. And here we go. Jockey's arms are starting to pump. Just a little bit, not too much. Now here he goes, really asking the horse to go now. Getting away with moderate fraction, so he knows these leaders have some stamina left for late in the race, so this horse needs to get it going, get into high gear. Here he comes, really wide into the stretch. And the race is on. Who can outlast? And here we go. Journalism just taking over. Blowing by the front runner. Just running in a very straight line, very professional. Jockey takes a look back and is just separating himself from the rest of the field. Just a class above these other runners. Some of the other runners in this race, that second place finisher has 7 career starts, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third, was a $700,000 purchase. This horse's name was Getaway Car, winner of a Grade 3 and also the Sunland Park Derby. Derby contender for some time. This horse has had a lot of buzz on the Kentucky Derby Trail. I have never been a huge fan, but it is trained by Bob Baffert, who's a perennial Kentucky Derby contender. And I just have never been a huge fan of Getaway Car. I don't like his prospects as a Kentucky Derby winner. Of course, it could win. Lots can happen with these young horses. But Journalism beat this horse soundly. So I just think Journalism is a level above Getaway Car at this point. The third place finisher, 5 starts, 2 wins, a second and a third, a $250,000 purchase. Won his first 2 races, but ran poorly last out after this race that we just watched. Third place finisher had 7 career starts, no wins, a second and 4 thirds, 1 Grade 1 attempt. Again, this was another horse that Journalism has ran against. And again, the fourth place finisher is that same horse that has run in each of Journalism's first 3 races. His most recent start, March 1st, 2025 at Santa Anita. This is the San Felipe Stakes, which took place yesterday. Again, I started this video the day before this race, which is why I wanted to look at Journalism, get a sense of who this horse is before the race, and then be able to go back to this race to let everybody see how this horse fared after seeing his first 3 starts. The San Felipe Stakes is a 1.1 miles on a fast dirt track at Santa Anita. First start in 2.5 months. Again, that last race was in mid-December, and this horse is going a further distance. So a moderate layoff and stretching out in distance after going from 2-year-old to 3-year-old. This horse breaks clean from post number 2 of 5. Ends up winning by a length and 3/4 at odds of 3-1. Saves ground around the clubhouse turn, 2 to 3 lengths back down the back stretch. So the leader was about 2 to 3 lengths ahead of Journalism in the back stretch. 2 to 3 path entering the stretch, so not having to go wide around the turns. Journalism chases down the 2 to 5 odds favorite, Barnes, to win. Barnes is a highly regarded Kentucky Derby contender for Bob Baffert, and Bob Baffert is tied for all-time Kentucky Derby wins with 6. So when he has a good Kentucky Derby horse, they should be respected, except for Getaway Car. He should be respected. I'm just not personally a big fan of Getaway Car as a Derby contender. However, Barnes seems to be a notch above Getaway Car, in my opinion. Barnes was the 8-1 favorite in the most recent Kentucky Derby futures pool. So most people had their money on Barnes to win the Kentucky Derby at odds of 8-1. And Journalism beat that horse by a length and 3/4 after letting Barnes get the lead. Journalism still was able to run him down late. However, this was a short field. Only 75% of the points were awarded. So there's on the point system, there's a rule if there's only a 5-horse field, you don't get the full 50 Kentucky Derby points. It gets notched down to 75%. And if there's only 4 horses, I think it's down to 50%. And I'm not sure if the field is smaller than that, how much they're awarded. But instead of getting 50 points to the winner, the first place finisher was awarded 37.5 Kentucky Derby points. So let's take a look at the race. So our horse is number 2. A little calmer in the gate this time. Breaks cleanly yet again. Number 3 is Barnes. Previously the Kentucky Derby Futures betting favorite. Our horse number 2 down on the inside. Again, similar to last time. Had the chance to take the lead, but opts to take back and have a little target to chase. Barnes somewhat loose on the lead. No one really contesting for the lead. The 4 and the 5 moving up on his outside, but 23.71 opening quarter. Not too fast. Horse number 2, Journalism. Again, behind horses, getting dirt kicked in his face, but looking cool as a cucumber. No issues there. You can see him start to pop up above. And just sitting a length or 2 off of Barnes. The jockey's arms on the 2, just asking him a little bit. Not really urging yet, but letting the horse know, hey, we got to keep it going. 2 can't really move out, so has no choice but to run directly forwards. Now has the option to move out if he wants. Now the jockey's really asking him to pick it up with about 3/8 to go. 3/8 of a mile. The 3 on the front end, jockey's giving him a little tap, but relatively calm. Journalism pops out to about the 2-3 path. And now it's just, can he catch up to Barnes? Barnes veers in just a little bit. Journalism running straight as an arrow yet again. Very professional. And the battle is on, and Journalism prevails, and they are well clear of the rest of the field. It was a 2-horse race down the stretch. So the others in this race, the second place finisher, Barnes, 3 career starts, 2 wins, and that was a second place finish right there. This horse was purchased for $3.2 million, won a grade 2, and again was once the future Derby betting favorite for trainer Bob Baffert. Third place finisher, 4 career starts, a win, a second, and a third, a $485,000 purchase, ran second in a grade 3. The fourth place finisher, 5 starts, again that same horse that Journalism has run against several times. And fifth place finisher, 3 starts, 1 win, was the same horse that won on Journalism's debut. So the horse that won in the very first race we watched was in the San Felipe Stakes, and Journalism has certainly improved drastically and turned the tables on that horse. That beat him first time out. So some of the positives and negatives to take away from Journalism's career up to this point. The positives, extremely well bred and for routes specifically, so the distance should not be an issue. Journalism is running very professionally, and further races seem like it'll benefit him. This horse is improving with each start. Takes some prolonged urging by the rider, but the horse gets into high gear and keeps on, which again should be good for that Derby distance. I think of Sierra Leone last year, but not going to be as far back. Just really takes some urging for a while, but this horse gets into high gear and just keeps on going a mile and a quarter against other young horses. I think will suit Journalism well. Journalism is defying the notion that Curlin-sired horses are late bloomers. I've heard on several podcasts that some horses by Curlin take a little bit to really run at their top effort, but Journalism is learning quickly and is improving with each start and is winning graded stakes already in just 4 career starts. I think of Cole Battle, who I did a Kentucky Derby video on. You can go back and watch it. Cole Battle seems to be outrunning his pedigree. His pedigree made me think that Cole Battle would be best sprinting or at least doing 1-turn mile races. However, Cole Battle has been outrunning his pedigree, running terrifically around 2 turns routing at some of the highest level stakes that he can run in, and it's just defying his odds. So when a horse defies his odds or his pedigree, you should really take a look and not just consider it a fluke, but that the horse is something special. Maybe Cole Battle as well as Journalism are something special and outrunning that pedigree. Journalism breaks alertly but comfortable to settle into a good position and stalk the pace setter. So Journalism can get out quick, which is good for a 20-horse field like the Kentucky Derby. Have enough speed to find the spot he wants to be and just get comfortable, sit and wait, and then when he wants to make his move, really start churning for a good half of a mile. Closing and winning on tracks that seem friendly to the front runner. So most of Journalism's wins have been at Santa Anita or Los Alamitos Racecourse, where they tend to be favoring 2 front runners, and Journalism is coming from off the pace, coming from mid-pack to a few lengths off of the lead, and is able to close and pass those front-running horses on tracks that typically favor somewhat of front runners and carry that speed around the whole track. Some of the negatives, I really had to rack my brain to find some negatives. I think Journalism looks like one of the top contenders for the Kentucky Derby, as well as Sovereignty. I have those 1-2 right now, with Cole Battle probably a close third at this point. But I had to find some negatives, and here are the negatives. Very limited success by both trainer and current rider in the Kentucky Derby. So they have no wins in the Kentucky Derby and limited experience in the big race. The San Felipe was awarded 75% of Derby points due to the small field. So this horse has 47.5 points at this point. And if you look down here to this point, Journalism may need another solid effort before securing a spot in the Kentucky Derby. Currently has 47.5 points, which could be enough to get in, but it might not be depending on how things shake out. So this horse is going to need to come out and actually run a good effort. And so he can't just have a calm, easy prep race to gain some more experience. He's actually going to have to run 1, 2, 3, maybe 4th to get enough points to guarantee himself a spot in the race. This horse has faced little to no adversity in his races. 3 of his 4 races were fields of 5, so not having to navigate traffic. His maiden breaking win at Del Mar was the field of 10, which he beat soundly, but still, even in that race, he had a pretty clean trip. No adversity, really, no traffic. So I just wonder how this horse will fare if he runs into a bit of traffic, or he's just not able to stalk the pace and have nobody get in his way or really run by him late. Could this have an effect on his optimal race spacing or timing, having to make another solid effort before the Kentucky Derby? I'm sure the trainer had intentions to run this horse again before the Kentucky Derby, but I just wonder if being at that 47.5 points level, if that's going to change things at all in their mind. It may not. Time will tell. Again, maybe this horse has to work a little bit harder in his next race to ensure that he actually earns the points than he normally would have had to run. Maybe they could have been happy with the 2nd or 3rd place finishing, but maybe now they're going to run him really hard in his next race, and maybe he might be a little more tired come the first Saturday in May. So had to find some negatives, and there they are. That's it for journalism. Again, one of the top Kentucky Derby prospects in my opinion at this point. Thanks again for everybody watching. Feedback is appreciated. I try to read all the comments. Please like, subscribe, and or share with friends. I really do appreciate that, getting the word out and letting everyone know what the game's all about. If anyone knows anyone who's somewhat interested in horse racing, please share my playlist with them. How to read a racing form and betting on horse racing. Two separate playlists. How to read a racing form. I break down the components of the racing form. I think there's 10 small parts in that playlist, and I just break down each section of the racing form, talk about what it's telling you, how to decipher it. And I'm betting on horse racing. I go through each of the individual bets, tell you what they are, explain how they're played, explain the costs associated with them, how to place the bet if you're talking to an actual teller and not using a machine. And then I'll give a little bit of tips or advice on what I look for when I'm placing such bets. But again, thanks for watching. I appreciate that comments, feedbacks. I'm up to 250 subscribers, so I appreciate everybody who's clicked subscribe. It really does help, and I hope someone out there is learning a thing or two from watching these videos. I'm enjoying doing it. So again, I appreciate anybody watching. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.